Breaking news tonight as President Obama announces more American troops will be deployed to Iraq. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I am Maggie Poteau. The president says approximately 350 additional military personnel will head to Iraq to protect American diplomatic facilities and workers in Baghdad. In a press release today, the White House says the personnel will not serve as a combat role. Instead, they'll fulfill a request from the State Department for more protection as the country fights an insurgency from the Islamic State militant group, also known as ISIS or ISIL. Now, this comes on the heels of another brutal video unveiled by the terrorist group. Well, a bit closer to home tonight, there is trouble for the Illinois National Guard. The unit was given money for training, but now it has to give some of it back. It's causing a shortfall of cash and questions on how to pay for this month's drill training. Breaking news tonight as President Obama announces more American troops will be deployed to Iraq. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I am Maggie Poteau. The president says approximately 350 additional military personnel will head to Iraq to protect American diplomatic facilities and workers in Baghdad. In a press release today, the White House says the personnel will not serve as a combat role. Instead, they'll fulfill a request from the State Department for more protection as the country fights an insurgency from the Islamic State militant group, also known as ISIS or ISIL. Now, this comes on the heels of another brutal video unveiled by the terrorist group. Well, a bit closer to home tonight, there is trouble for the Illinois National Guard. The unit was given money for training, but now it has to give some of it back. It's causing a shortfall of cash and questions on how to pay for this month's drill training. The federal government sets aside money for the National Guard training. Then the National Guard Bureau passes out the funding to each state. But the Bureau says that it gave out too much money in the last month of the previous fiscal year, and they're taking that extra money back. That money was to pay for training drills this month. Here in Illinois, the National Guard is now pinching pennies elsewhere to make ends meet, so it actually can pay its annual drill weekend. It's been rescheduled for the last weekend of the month, giving organizers more time to get the money they need.
In 2011, the City Council adopted some rate increases in sanitary sewer fees. At the end of the 5 years of increases, the average homeowner will be paying about $4.80 more a month.
And we're told that the Service Member and Family Programs Office will try to help the service members who now face a financial crunch. The National Guard Bureau says that it plans to ask Congress for more funding so that the money they're taking back now can be replaced. The Illinois National Guard tells us that so far it hasn't received an explanation for why the money wasn't properly distributed in the first place. Trouble and confusion in the Illinois Department of Corrections. The organization is now having to take a closer look at how it operates. This after recent power outages at state prisons. Now, right now, officials are looking to see how the facilities are prepared for emergencies. During a blackout at the Vandalia Correctional Facility on August 20th, one prisoner attacked a guard and others became unruly. The department says that all of the facilities have backup generators except Vandalia and a halfway house in Peoria. Now, a spokesperson tells us portable generators, flashlights, and lanterns can also help a prolonged outage. A showdown in Sherman involving a police officer goes before the State Labor Relations Board. Those in attendance at today's meeting tell us that both sides focused on negotiations and what information should be turned over in the case. They also discussed pending lawsuits the village faces and could be coming down the road. The controversy surrounds Officer Phil Brown, who's been on the Sherman Police Force for 15 years. He's also a Navy veteran, and union representatives claim that the village is now trying to fire Brown after he put Navy decals on his squad car. The union claims that the village is retaliating after Brown voiced his opposition to a proposed contract between the village and police and urged negotiations to continue. Sherman's mayor says that the village will hold a hearing for Brown. However, a date has not yet been set. Well, new at 9, a fire last night in Lincoln is now being classified as accidental. The incident happened in the 900 block of North Madison in Lincoln. Officials tell us that the flames broke out when the resident's mattress caught fire due to improper handling of smoking materials. The home was not a total loss, but there was at least $1,000 in damages. No injuries were reported, and it's not considered suspicious. Aging infrastructure. It's a problem throughout central Illinois, and one that you can see evidence of nearly every time that it rains. In Decatur, the sewer system is a big part of that problem. Newschannel at 9's Christina Mueller explains what Decatur city leaders are doing to fix the issue and how it will impact residents there. Well, at tonight's city council meeting, aldermen approved the next phase of a sewer improvement project. Now the project will be waiting on a loan from the state to come through. That's expected to happen next month. Well, first on Fox News from tonight's Springfield City Council meeting, it wasn't the City Council meeting itself that took center stage. It was the Special Committee of the Whole where the majority of discussion took place. Newschannel at 9's Jordan Abadea has the details. Jordan. It is official. Online applications are now posted for medical marijuana in Illinois. Right now, about 1 in 40 conditions can qualify for the medical marijuana pilot program after a doctor signs off. If your last name starts with the letter A through L, you can submit applications starting today through October 31st. If your last name begins with the letter M through Z, you can submit an application beginning November 1st. Now, it's important to note that you can download and print out the application. However, you must consult with your doctor because you will not be approved without permission from your healthcare provider.
They need to have a conversation with their doctor to make sure that their doctor is willing to support their application. The doctor has to submit something of her own or his own on behalf of that patient.
We've posted the full list of conditions on our website, but a few are cancer, severe fibromyalgia, Parkinson's disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. The easiest way to apply is online with the Illinois Department of Public Health. If approved, the state will issue the patient an ID card good for 1 year. Patients have to pay $100 to apply, and they have to reapply each year. Now, for a list of qualifying conditions and the link to apply, just head over to our website at foxillinois.com and click on Web Watch. Well, still ahead here on Newschannel at 9 on Fox Illinois. A new video surfaces showing a second American journalist executed by the Islamic militant group ISIS, who they blame for the killing and the person they're threatening. That's next. And a pair of nationally ranked football teams will meet in Charleston this weekend. Sports Director Donnie Tillman breaks down Southern Illinois at Eastern Illinois later on in sports. Plus, from hit show shakeups to revealing releases from some of the world's hottest stars. The latest from Hollywood in tonight's entertainment news. Welcome back. ISIS releases another chilling video appearing to show the beheading of American journalist Steven Sotloff. It is the second such video since last month when the radical Islamic group beheaded journalist James Foley just 2 weeks ago. Tonight, Jim Schuettel breaks down what we know so far and the possible links between the new video and the first one released nearly 2 weeks ago. As U.S. officials work to confirm the authenticity of the ISIS video, State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki reveals that there was at least one rescue attempt before the video was released.
There was the attempt earlier this summer. I think it's important to note it wasn't our preference to have that be made public, given that our focus is on helping these individuals return home. There aren't additional details. Of course, there are efforts underway on a daily basis to do everything we can to bring Americans home.
Now, she goes on to say that they do not discuss the rescue attempts publicly, as it could put the security and the safety of those individuals making the attempt at risk, as well as their efforts. Now, as I share this story with you, President Obama and other world leaders are in Europe for a NATO summit to discuss the deteriorating situation inside Ukraine. The president's 3-day trip will take him from Estonia, a former Soviet Union country and NATO member, to the United Kingdom. This as Ukraine's government and U.S. and Europe claims that a Russian invasion is already underway. Russia, which faces further sanctions over the unrest, has repeatedly denied involvement and says none of its forces are inside Ukraine. The Ukrainian president says the fighting has grown worse in recent days. The United Nations estimates the conflict has taken at least 2,600 lives. Coming up, no laughing matter. Why some mothers are saying that laughter may just be the best medicine for their pain when it comes to childbirth. And a slightly cooler start to September, but the heat will be making a comeback. Which day it's set to return and how hot it could actually get. That's next in your Fox 1 Team Forecast. Keep it here. We've got another half hour of local news coverage ahead. On the way, revealing it all, how hackers were able to gain access to some of the biggest stars' raciest photos and the fallout from it all. Plus, a multi-million-dollar scheme busted. What helped investigators crack the major fraud case? That's later in tonight's Consumer Watch, only on Newschannel at 9 on Fox, Illinois. Hacking, it's a term you can't talk about without also talking about how easy it is for people to gain access to your online information available in our synced up world. These days, what's on your phone is also on your tablet, your computer, and so on. And that's not always a good thing. From those private photos to that job-seeking resume or even the text message that you'd rather no one else read, an accidental sync can happen when you least expect it. Texting, Googling, Facebook messaging, you put it on one thing and then the next thing you know, the cloud has it up in an unexpected, unwanted place. But what gets people into the most amount of trouble?
I think PhotoStream gets people in the most trouble because it's something that's there on all of your devices, and if you're saving photos, they're all going to come to your PhotoStream. So it's pretty easy to forget that they're there.
In this era where every app, program, and web browser wants you to log in, even a simple search can come back to haunt you. There is one piece of digital etiquette that we should all abide by. Be careful when handing over your personal device. You may only mean to share a photo, but in the era of accidental sync, you never know what will actually pop up, and some people just can't resist the urge to take a peek. It was a multi-million-dollar scheme involving identity theft and fraudulent checks. As Newschannel at 9's Andrew Hansen tells us, it was how it worked that led postal inspectors to bust their operation. Darnell Lanier, the ringleader, gave inspectors a full confession and insisted prosecutors in the case. He was sentenced to 5 years probation and ordered to pay $10,000 in restitution. Childbirth. It can be a beautiful and, let's face it, painful process. Now some women are hoping to change that. More and more women are requesting laughing gas instead of an epidural. But is it safe? Mary O'Connor investigates. I would say sign me up, but Dr. Letterman tells us that he is going to talk with his peers at Good Samaritan and stay on top of the research. He is also going to see if it's something that hospitals can offer to patients, but only if and when he is sure that it is completely safe to both mother and baby. Alrighty, stay tuned. We've got more local news coverage on the way. Coming up, U of I police share how drug use among college students compared to last year. What they say is behind the change. Plus, in trouble again. Which celeb faces new charges and why? That and so much more coming up later in your entertainment news. Student drug use is on the rise, and it is not just marijuana we're talking about. That's according to U of I police tonight. Captain Roy Akery tells us that more students are experimenting with harder drugs like ecstasy, MDMA, and cocaine. When asked about why drug use is on the rise, Akery says that he thinks it's just a sign of the times, and freshmen are particularly more vulnerable.
First-year students, they're just getting their feet wet as far as, being away from home for the first time, maybe being away from their parents for the first time. A lot of them are starting to experiment with alcohol, starting to experiment with marijuana and other drugs that we see popular on campus.
Campus police say that they have already had a number of calls for drug use in the dorms and at parties this school year. They say that college kids are the #1 buyer of drugs, and some drug dealers are bold enough to try and sell them on campus. New at 9, the numbers are out. The Springfield Police Department releases numbers from its Labor Day enforcement crackdown. Police made 30 DUI arrests and issued nearly 70 safety belt citations during the crackdown. Extra emphasis was given to the late night hours when statistics show the most people drink and drive and the fewest buckle up. Now, law enforcement agencies throughout the state participated in the nationwide effort to save lives by getting drunk drivers off of the roads. Well, tonight we're checking in on minority job opportunities in the capital city. It's now been 6 months after the city of Springfield, Sangamon County, and a national engineering company based here in Springfield created the Minority Participation Program. Now those leaders are touting the success and expansion of their work. The goal of the program is to expose minority students to careers in science, technology, engineering, or math, also known as the STEM fields. The program starts kids off in middle school, exposing them to the possible STEM career fields with open houses and camps. High school students are then given the chance to participate in summer youth programs where they can actually learn about subjects like railroad transportation.
Cultivating our own diverse talent is paramount to successfully building our engineering sector in Springfield. Through this partnership, Sangamon County, Hanson Professional Services, and the City of Springfield are ensuring that our residents have a direct pipeline to jobs right here in the capital city.
Hanson Professional Services hired 2 college graduates for full-time employment through the program. They're hoping to get other local engineering agencies involved to expand the program while also including other fields. When Mayor Houston was asked about if the program would take opportunities away from other students, he said that they're just exposing students to possibilities, and everyone who has been a part of the program has been more than qualified for the positions that they have received. A big economic merger in Logan County is expected to be official by early November. Now the new organization just needs a board of directors. Logan County Tourism Bureau, Lincoln Logan Chamber of Commerce, and Main Street Lincoln are all combining. This new board will replace each entity's current board of directors. The Chamber of Commerce says that the organization will be better equipped to hire and retain a staff, which it says has been a problem for all 3 individual groups.
We get really great people here. They are in the center of our community's focal point. They get to know people, they network, and then they get offered great positions. And we can't compete with that. We've not had the resources to offer competitive salaries and benefits. And now we're at a position where we're able to do that.
Well, the deadline to apply for a seat on the board is September 19th. For a link to the online application, just head to our website at foxillinois.com and click on Web Watch. 283 students, 10 days into the school year, and that's how many Springfield students still do not have the necessary medical requirements to attend school. But the numbers are a significant improvement when you consider that by mid-October last year, 740 students did not have the physicals and vaccinations that are required by law. The school district really started making an early push to see that it did not happen again. As a result, the Keep Kids in School Coalition was formed, and a series of vaccination clinics for students was held over the summer. The most recent just last Friday.
I'm very excited that we've been able to reduce this number. However, as a parent or as an educator, you want to see all kids in school. We just need to know that in our society this is a law, and we need to make sure that we fulfill that law by getting the immunizations for our children and the records that we need to have.
Well, at this point, several schools, Ball Charter, Graham, Southern View, Douglas, and SLA, all have 100% of students meeting the requirements. On the flip side, Washington Middle has the most students not in compliance. The count there stands at 42. Lamphere has 36. And Jefferson, 35 students not in compliance with the school's policy. Now, those students will not be allowed back to school until the requirements are met. Your local news coverage doesn't stop here. Here's what our newsrooms are working on for you for your nightside news at 10 o'clock on ABC. Battling ISIS. We examine what real military options the U.S. has for countering the militant fighters. That's tonight on ABC News Channel's Nightside. Well, don't go anywhere. Still to come on News Channel at 9 on Fox Illinois. Celebrities learn a tough lesson about securing their data. The stars that are now lashing out, and if there are any answers as to how hackers got their hands on their private photos. And high heat and humidity make for a muggy start to our September. After the break, we're going to tell you which day temperatures will actually peak this week, and a complete check of your Fox Storm Team forecast. Joan Rivers continues to fight for her life. Melissa Rivers, Joan Rivers' daughter, confirms that her mother remains on life support. Now, she says that her family is, quote, extremely grateful for all of the love and support that they've received. The talk show host stopped breathing while undergoing minor surgery in New York City last week. She's since been in a medically induced coma. With Joan's now lengthy hospital stay, production for her show, Fashion Police, is currently on hold. A spokesperson for E! Confirms that 2 recent tapings of the show that were scheduled to air in conjunction with the Fashion Week have been canceled. And a major shakeup on Fox's hit show The Following. After just 3 months on the job, Jennifer Johnson, the showrunner for the Fox show drama, is stepping down. Johnson, who took over for the series, creator Kevin Williamson, in June, will actually be focusing now on other projects as part of her contract with Warner Brothers Television. Stepping up to replace her will be show writers Brett Mahoney and Alexi Hawley and director Marco Siga, who will work as executive producers of the series under the supervision of Williamson. Fox has already renewed The Following for a 3rd season, but a premiere date has not yet been released. Well, right now, a number of Tinseltown's finest are exposed. Some of their very private and personal pictures have been posted online, sparking celebrity outrage. The scandal comes from online criminals hacking into what was supposed to be a secure internet-based file storage system. As Fox News correspondent Kelly Wright explains, it's now turned into a federal matter. Justin Bieber has yet another brush with the law. The pop star getting arrested this weekend after crashing his ATV into a minivan in Canada. That's according to TMZ. He now faces charges of dangerous driving and assault. Bieber was taken into custody in Perth County, Ontario, where he was photographed riding an ATV with Selena Gomez on Friday. Now, police say that there was a physical altercation between Bieber and the other driver that he collided with. He's since been released and will appear in court later this month. Meanwhile, the singer is still on probation after egging a home in Los Angeles. Now, it's not clear if this arrest could be considered a violation of his terms of his probation.